Greeting friends, Technocracy News and Trends. Patrick Wood here, Editor-in-Chief. I would like to say, just beginning, that this last month we passed 4,000 posted articles on Technocracy News and Trends. I don't know if you realize it, but this is the largest repository of stories in the world that relate directly to technocracy or transhumanism. There is nothing else like it anywhere. It's fully indexed, every single word and every single article. They're fully categorized as well. And it's a treasure trove for those who want to do a little bit of research and learning on the topic of technocracy especially. Many of those articles I have written myself over time, and they are discoverable, but I didn't want Technocracy News and Trends to just be about me. It's not what I say that counts. It's what other people say that counts. That is, the people who are bringing it to us. Who are the people behind technocracy? How do they think? What do they say? What are they writing? What are they talking about amongst themselves? This is the important thing for you to see. You don't have to take my word for it. You can do your own research that way. Well, there's an old saying, I think it became an ad once upon a time, that a fine wine knows its time. That's also true with stories. Sometimes a story floats by that the timing is right for that story to float by. And I've been looking at some different things this week to talk about, and I decided to delay until today to do this, and it's a good thing I did because the story is right today to talk about transhumanism. And we're going to. This is a very important topic I've discussed many times in the pages of Technocracy News and Trend and in speaking and writing, where I have addressed the ties between technocracy and transhumanism. I wrote a story today about it, and we're going to discuss that story. This may be a short episode, I hope. It won't bog you down with listening to too much stuff. But here's the story I want to share with you. It's titled The Siamese Twins of Technocracy and Transhumanism. And before I dig into this, you'll notice the banner at the top of the page that says, "We will not comply." This is the nonprofit organization, citizensforfreespeech.org, that I founded in 2018, not realizing that COVID-19 was going to become the deal it was today, of course. But it has become a huge free speech issue, a huge First Amendment issue. And if you're kind of fed up with all that stuff, I would encourage you to beat a path over to citizensforfreespeech.org and take a look at our no face mask card that you can request for a small donation just to cover the cost of shipping it and manufacturing it, of course, as well. And you can make a stand to say you will not comply with this nonsense anymore. That's a whole nother story. This video is not going to be about that, but here we go. The Siamese twins of technocracy and transhumanism. What is this all about? It's going to take a little time to get through this with you, but I do want you to understand the big picture. You don't have to necessarily understand the little details, but the big picture is not that difficult to understand. So you'll see the graphic at the top here that I chose. It will make more sense to you as we go through the article. But you will see the big NBIC in the middle, and then the letters NBIC around the margins of the circle that tell you what each letter means. And you can stare at this for a while if you go and use your own browser later to pull this article up and think about it. Just stare at it for a while and think about the possibilities and what it might mean to you in the future. I started out this article by saying, technocracy and transhumanism have always been joined at the hip. Technocracy uses its so-called science of social engineering to merge technology and society. Now we see that, by the way, with things like the Internet of Things, smart cities, smart grid, total surveillance around the country and around the world. Transhumanism, on the other hand, uses its field of NBIC to merge technology directly into humans. into humans. Now, how does that work? Well, to put it another way, technocracy is to society what transhumanism is to the humans that live in it. Okay, so on one hand, technocracy applies technology to society for the sake of social engineering, and transhumanism applies technology, much often the same type of technology, to the human condition, to our own flesh, if you will, the merging of technology and human flesh. Well, transhumanism is a philosophy, first off, that has been growing for centuries, but only in the metaphysical realm. And when I say metaphysical, I mean it's only in their mind. There's no substance to it. It's just a philosophy, an idea, something that they would aspire to, but it's never been achieved before. Its ultimate goal is for humans to escape death and live forever. Yeah, it's the state of immortality. They also have a sub-goal, by the way, of omniscience, knowing everything. Plugging Google, for instance, into your mind so that you can just think of something and boom, all of a sudden, it's all in your brain. And you have all that knowledge at your disposal. Well, these are two qualities, by the way, that have traditionally been reserved for God and God alone. God indeed is immortal. He's without beginning and without end. The immortality that these people speak about is a little different because it does have a beginning, like when they were born, and it may have no end in their mind, but it's not exactly the same type of immortality or the quality of immortality that God himself claims to have in the Bible. So transhumans naturally migrated in the end, in any case, from the metaphysical world to the physical. This is when science began to really kind of catch up with their ideas. When they saw the ability of science to be used to achieve this immortality, well, the race was on to do it. And believe me, there are a lot of people in the world today pursuing outright transhumanism, using technology to improve the human condition, to create humanity 2.0, to create a state where a person can live forever, if not in a fleshly sense, certainly in a digital sense. Well, yeah, crackpot, you say? Ha ha, yeah, oh, that's so silly. A lot of people will scoff at this and turn the video off right now. Well, you better be careful what you ridicule, because both technocracy and transhumanism are in control of the course of human history at this very moment. As I have written extensively about both for many years, this has been brewing, it has been brewing for sure for a very long time. It's now coming into its own. We've talked in previous videos and in writing about the fact that technocracy is experiencing its coup d'etat right now on the world. Only technocrats could have possibly shut down the entire global economic system for the sake of bringing in what Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum says is the big reset. Oh, I just can't wait for the big reset, Klaus. I wish you could just keep to yourself in Germany and maybe just reset Germany. But no, you have to do it to the entire planet. That's because the goal of technocracy is a global scientific dictatorship. We've been writing about this for a very long time. Well, what is NBIC? I got to bring the mystery to you here. NBIC stands for this. First, there's nano, that is nanotechnology. Secondly, there's bio, B-I-O, which stands for biotechnology. And then you have info, which of course is information technology. And then the term cogno, that is cognitive sciences, the brain, things that go on in the brain. These four scientific disciplines remained separate avenues of study in universities around the world until the early 1970s. Today, NBIC has become an established discipline of its own in most major universities and research universities around the world, where personnel from all of these separate four departments have been sent into one single department, a new department that represents NBIC. And here is where they study the merger of technology to be used into the human condition. You'll see every university that you look at now, you'll see the concept of NBIC everywhere. And if you simply do a search for it in any one of the popular search engines, you'll find a lot of material, a lot of research, a lot of papers and so on that talk about NBIC in the university. And the reason, of course, this has been rather subdued is that news doesn't come out of university anywhere. They're just the boring places of the world. You don't hear about their studies unless somebody like me reads it, brings it out to you, or some other researcher. They simply don't publicize themselves. Not that they're always shy about public publicity, but for the most part, they are shy about publicity. So, today, as I said, NBIC has become an established discipline of its own. But why NBIC? What's the big deal with these four different disciplines, scientific disciplines, being combined together? Well, the underlying language of each field, if you think about it just a little bit, is digital in nature. I'll give you an example. Genetics, for instance, DNA and RNA. Well, that's expressed in digital terms. You have basically four different letters representing the four different blocks or columns of your DNA strand. This is a form of computer technology, ABCD or whatever it is, ABCT, and all of these things can be expressed with a computer algorithm. Then you have the brain itself, the cognitive part of life. It's considered digital now. Well, it's like a biological supercomputer, and many people have grasped onto the idea, well, what if I could download the contents of my brain onto a hard drive and then upload it somewhere into an AI program? Could I live forever? Well, some people think they will, but that's not the way it's going to work out. Then you have the idea of nanotechnology, of course, and nanotechnology is also digital, where scientists can manipulate matter by using computer algorithms. I know this sounds really far-fetched and really science fiction-y, but it's happening and has been happening for some years at the university level and in major research labs, like at DARPA, for instance, with the Pentagon. But this is all well-established technology. This is nothing new that I'm telling you here. Altogether, in any case, NBIC offers a scientific cauldron to transhumans in their quest to create Humans 2.0. Now that's a word they actually use, Humanity 2.0. There's a website, as a matter of fact, called H+, that is like Humans Plus. Well, plus what? Well, plus technology and, achieving superhuman powers, that sort of thing. When NBIC is understood, in any case, it is no surprise that technocrat Elon Musk, for instance, founded Neuralink. You can go search that company and look it up. Musk's reality is to connect computing technology, that is info of NBIC, directly into the brain, that's bio, by the way, using microscopic threads, nano, that are sewn into the skull. This technology grew out of the science of NBIC. And of course, when Musk boasts of your brain ultimately having a USB port, well, actually, let's speed it up and say a USB-C port, why, you'll be able to upload and download things into your brain that you never thought were possible before. Well, we'll see about that, Elon. But you see, NBIC is something that is being expressed right now in the commercial world. Elon Musk is at the head of it right now, it would seem. But it's also no wonder that the upcoming vaccine for COVID-19 being produced right now by a company called Moderna, M-O-D-E-R-N-A, RNA, just think about that for a minute, is also using NBIC science to accomplish a merging of the human body with advanced technology. The Trump administration, by the way, has just contracted with Moderna to deliver 100 million doses of its investigational vaccine, ostensibly to be kitted and transported to the nation by the U.S. military. I don't think this has ever been done before in America, and I don't know why we need the military to, distribute a vaccine across the country. It seems to me that FedEx and UPS and maybe even the lame post office could take care of that just fine. But Trump has enlisted the Pentagon to be the primary distributor, or the trucker, if you will, of these vaccines to centers around our country. Now, the infographic that I put in here, I'm not going to discuss this in any great length right now, but you can see the NBIC system as it works in real life. And of course, top, bottom, left, and right, cognitive science, biotechnology, nanotechnology at the bottom, information technology at the top. This chart struck my fancy because it also lists some of the technology spin-offs from these various areas. For instance, a spin-off from cognitive science is brain stimulation, cyber networking, and personalized education. Another spin-off down here is neuromorphic engine, synopsis to mind, smart environments, cogno aid devices. You've got nanotechnology spin-offs as being plasmonics, materials, genome. This is all kind of crazy science fiction stuff, but it's real right now. They're working on it, and so on. So you can kind of look at some of these spin-off ideas, and you will see things that you read about in the news. Wow, I didn't know that. Whenever you see something about nanotechnology, always look backwards to see if it's NBIC that's in view, because if it is, you're getting very close to the heart of transhumanism. It is interesting, by the way, that all of the universities, the major universities of the world right now, are racing after NBIC. This is really interesting because this is all driven by the transhuman philosophy of achieving immortality. And although every scientist in NBIC might not recognize that goal, this is basically the core of the research being done in the world on transhumanism. They've never produced, by the way, anything that would indicate they're 1 inch closer to achieving immortality. That's another story. They probably never will, but they think they will. Now, Moderna's vaccine, in particular now, has modified RNA, that's genetically modified organism. They've genetically modified RNA. Well, what is RNA? Well, first off, RNA is the bio aspect of NBIC, and RNA is the precursor, the template, the model for your DNA to replicate in your body. First, there's RNA. It provides the template for the division and for the next cell that's going to come out, or the next DNA strand that's going to come out. It matches up, it provides the information it needs, and boom, you have a new cell created in your body. This happens continuously, by the way, throughout your life. But while this is the precursor to the formation of DNA to be delivered with microneedles, they say, this is nanotechnology. In order to place the vaccine plus a permanent digital marker into your skin or underneath the skin that can be encoded with digital information. There's the info of NBIC coming out. And according to the Moderna website, you have to go there. I'll put a link on it, moderna.com. They say, right on the home page, messenger RNA, or mRNA, plays a fundamental role in human biology, transferring the instructions stored in DNA to make the proteins required in every living cell. Our approach is to use mRNA medicines to instruct a patient's own cells to produce proteins that could prevent, treat, or cure diseases. In short, they're messing with the human genome. They're not sure if it's going to be temporary or permanent? We'll find out in 20 years, I suppose, when either people start living longer or they start dying. I don't know which is going to happen, but it doesn't smell right to me. You could ask the age-old question, what could go wrong with this, right? Well, the next thing we have here is a video that I discovered yesterday. A reader sent it to me. This video by Dr. Carrie Madage gives a medical perspective on Moderna's upcoming vaccine and the fact that it is a transhuman agenda driving it. Note that the name Moderna is a contraction of MOD, mod, that is modification, and RNA, which we just talked about. And I encourage you to listen to this video. It's only, I think, 18 minutes. But go to the website, check it out, listen to it. She's probably missing a few facts, and I'm sure critics are going to take some shots at it because, oh, she didn't dot this I or she didn't cross that T or something. But basically, she is a doctor, she's an MD, she's worked in medicine, she's a professional, she's been through classes and so on to get to where she is. So she's not an idiot. Come on. I mean, if anybody's going to take a shot at her, just don't do it. Just listen to it, take what you can from it. She doesn't understand the bigger picture for sure of where transhumanism has come from and where it thinks it's going. She's going to learn it, I think, very quickly, though, because if she runs across my video and this story, which I think she will, she'll get a little bit more information that will help her shore up any loose ends. But it's a very good video and is very instructive. Be well worth your time to listen to what Carrie has to say. Now, according to Time magazine, good old Time magazine, they've been always trustworthy to put out the globalist view on some issue. They've been associated with the Trilateral Commission going back to 1973, for Pete's sake. The editor back in those days, Hedley Donovan, was one of the founding members of the Trilateral Commission. They've always been associated with the elite of the world. Well, they've been writing about Moderna and these things as well. And so I figured that's as good a source as any to get you up to speed on what they are thinking about this whole thing. And they say that researchers at Moderna hot-wired this process by packing their vaccine with mRNA. Remember, that's messenger RNA, the genetic material that comes from DNA and makes proteins. Moderna's idea is to load its coronavirus vaccine with mRNA that codes for the right coronavirus proteins and then inject that into the body. Yeah, what could go wrong with that? Immune cells in the lymph can process that mRNA and start making the protein in just the right way for other immune cells to recognize them, so they can mount a response against an actual viral infection. Dr. Stephen Hoge, president of Moderna, explains that. Now listen carefully to this. I put this in bold print so you wouldn't miss it. The president and founder of Moderna. mRNA is really like a software molecule in biology. Sounds like NBIC to me. So our vaccine is like the software program to the body, which then goes and makes the viral proteins that can generate an immune response. You can see NBIC written all over Moderna's research practices and the vaccine they're coming up with now. It is still interesting to me that Moderna has not produced any product yet whatsoever. It's a relatively new company, and yet they have been chosen over all the other big pharma companies by President Trump and the administration to be the manufacturer of at least 100 million vaccines that have been untested on humans, even untested on animals at this point, because after all, animal DNA is not human DNA. And they're going to roll this out, if they can, to our entire nation by the end of this year. This ought to make people sit up and pay attention. This is not your grandmother's vaccination here we're talking about. This is a new GMO variety where actual mRNA has been modified genetically using advanced slicing and editing techniques to rearrange the genome. And they're modifying this to stick into your body so that your new cells that are produced will produce something different than what they did before. And again, like I said, and I think Dr. Carey brings it out too, they're not sure whether it's going to be a permanent change or whether it will be temporary. I would not want to take that chance, and it does seem to me that if your DNA changes, it will ultimately, as the cells are reproduced, old ones die and new ones get reproduced, it seems to me that eventually any change to DNA in one part of your body is going to transfer to your entire body in time. This can't possibly end well for the human race, and they're intending to roll this out way beyond America, by the way. Well, it's also interesting to note, this is just not really a tagline to it, but I had to put it somewhere. It's noteworthy that Moderna's so-called strategic collaborators, that's on their webpage, by the way, include the Pentagon's DARPA. Oh, there's a technocrat group of people, if you ever saw them. That's the Pentagon's Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, one of the most nefarious black ops scientific study organization in the world. And DARPA has been involved in many projects that would literally make the hair curl on the back of your neck before it stood up straight and then recurled again when it's all done standing up straight. This is an incredible organization. Then another civilian counterpart to DARPA is BARDA, which we've talked a little bit in the pages of Technocracy News and Trends. That stands for the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development. This organization is everything that DARPA is, except that it's attached directly to the administration under the Human Health and Services Department or agency. And then there's a non-governmental representative in these strategic collaborators, and you would expect it to be, wouldn't you? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are steeped, every one of these people are steeped in technocracy, steeped in transhumanism, steeped on the idea that humanity 2.0 is just around the corner if they can only get that needle stuck in everybody's arm and change people for their own good. They think that they have that own good, that they know what it is, and by golly, they're going to do it to you if they can. And by the way, independently, the Gates Foundation funded, they haven't quite finished it, but they funded the development of the so-called quantum dot tattoo technology. Actually, it was invented at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, no slouch organization as far as technology is concerned. Yeah, Gates funded that. And the idea of the quantum dot tattoo is to be able to track who has and who has not received the vaccination. This may also provide the way to go on, as far as having a passport or something for whether or not you have the vaccine or not. Here's my conclusion, and we'll wrap it. The point of this article is to raise awareness of the joint goals of technocracy and transhumanism, nothing more, and to show the connections between them. Technocrats are driving the pandemic, I've written about this, by the way, quite a bit, as the Great Panic of 2020, that's my phrase, to shut down the global economy, to make way for the Great Reset, that's what Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum are talking about, into sustainable development, which is technocracy. This is straight ahead for technocrats, that's what they're doing. Transhumanisms, on the other hand, transhumans are piggybacking their own goals on top of the pandemic to trigger humanity 2.0. That's their dream. That's their holy grail. They don't need to ask you because they're the ones with the PhDs, and how would you even understand the high science that they're performing for your benefit, you see? Oh, they just can't wait to get that needle in your arm. They're thinking to themselves, oh, they're going to be happy with everything we do for them when we're done vaccinating them and giving them new DNA, new patterns of human DNA. Well, you look at all the success and failures of GMO seeds and GMO plants and GMO animals and experiments that have failed around the world that just went sour. I'll tell you what, this can't end well. There's no way it can end well. It'd be a moonshot of epic proportions if this were to end well. Well, to repeat my statement above, I'll highlight this again. Technocracy is to society what transhumanism is to the humans that live in it. It just can't be stated any more clearly or simply. Both are extremely dangerous for all of humankind, and they must be rejected before it is too late to stop them. And that may be coming up soon. Well, that's all I have to say for now. I'm Patrick Wood. I want to make you aware again, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up. It helps other people to know whether they should be listening to this or not. You can share it as well everywhere that you might have a shareable thing. Tell people about it, pick up the phone, call somebody, send it out in an email, put it on other social media, may get taken down, but don't worry about it, just keep posting it. You might want to download the video, by the way, too, and just keep it for posterity's sake in case it gets deleted everywhere. If you subscribe to Podbean, you can also pick up the audio channel only without the video. You can join us on the mailing list, of course, at technocracy.news. If you haven't done that, please go there, get on the mailing list. You'll receive a daily digest of the articles that I post every morning. And lastly, if you have a mind to support the work at Technocracy News and Trends, I've established a Patreon account, which you can view at patreon.com/technocracy, or just go there and search for Technocracy. It will come up. And you can leave a donation, a monthly donation of small amount, $2, $5, $10 a month. It doesn't matter particularly how much, but what I get from anybody that supports this work is encouragement. I can't tell you how much of a battle this has been over the last 10 years to get this information out to people around the world. And it's not just America. America is the last man standing right now, or the last nation standing, but the rest of the world is also in the view and is the goal for technocracy and transhumanism. We have a lot of work to do, but I need the encouragement, and I really do appreciate every one of you who have been to my Patreon account and put a couple of bucks a month towards it. It just really helps us get the word out as well. Well, again, Patrick Wood for Technocracy News and Trends. We'll see you next time. Godspeed.